Hey, what's up, guys? Sunday service, man. I figured, I never made a video one. Why not? I'm always talking. You always hear my words, or you're always reading my words, but you never see them come out of here. Hardly ever. So, welcome, I guess, to the first ever video Sunday service, man. Just want to touch on a couple of things before we get back into the work week. First off, I just want to touch on last night's fights a little bit. UFC 182. All the hype finally came down to last night. Jones, Cormier, put it all in there, man. And I got to say, overall, it was an exciting fight. It's one of those examples of why I think the fight would have been a lot more exciting if it didn't have quite so much hype behind it. DC did a good job. He went out there, he got a round or two, got some good punches in, made John look tired, slowed him down. But in the end, John Jones brought that it factor into the mix once again. And pulls out another W. And really, I think as each round went on, it seemed all the more apparent that Jones was going to take this one. Love to see him fight again. And honestly, man, I can't wait to see DC square off in the springtime with Anthony Rumble Johnson, once Rumble loses to Gus. So that'll be exciting. But anyway, man, I kind of just want to touch on these conflict awards a little bit. We ran them in December after the Hardyville card. Had an awesome year. Over 4,000 votes went into this thing, man. I mean, the fans really contributed to what was going on. So I just want to touch on those a little bit. Fighter of the year, the amateur female fighter of the year was Alexa Connors. Don't think there was a big shock there. I know in the second half of the year, I know Annie DiCrescente really did a lot. I also know the J.J. Aldrich had an amazing year, especially going on to Invicta. But this really was kind of the coming out year for Alexa Connors, and she took 2 belts, defended one of them, went 3-0. So hats off, man. Alexa, such a great one. Amateur male, Kobe Wall, had 2 fights for conflict this year, within about 14, 15 days of one another, both ending in KO. One, I think, Kyle Young in Macon, and then the head kick, Kevin Sunkins in Savannah. Was a great 2 weeks for Kobe, man. So congratulations that way. And then, of course, your pro fighter of the year, Big Mike Hazard, who took home both pro fighter, was Josh Blyden. Getting ahead of myself. Was Josh Blyden, man, out of CTC. All the huge fan base. He went 3-0. I believe 2 of those were with conflict. Undefeated with conflict. 7-0 was an AMI, man. Held the title. Went pro. Still undefeated. Imagine it'll only be a matter of time for we see him snagging those belts and hitting that mainstream pro league. So congrats out to him. Now to Hazard, man. Fight of the year. Mike Hazard versus Warren Smith, man. Warren Smith just always seems to be in these epic battles, no matter where he goes. I love watching Warren fight. But Mike Hazard came out, pro debut. What a way to put the stamp down. Got the 3rd round KO. And we're talking KO, not ref jumps in, but knockout. It was an awesome fight. But both guys just brought the thunder, man. And what an epic W. On the amateur side of things, for Fight of the Year, I had to give this one to David Devant and Malik Harris, man. I was there, and I knew it was potentially Fight of the Year on the amateur side as I was watching it. Anybody who's seen this fight was there. This knows it's insane. It was like watching Liddell and Vanderlei Silva's fight, man. It was an incredible fight, man. Hats off to both those guys, of course. And then, of course, the Annie DiCrescente hits the list for the first time here in her battle against Jenna Fox. Jenna coming in like 11-1, 12-2, something like that. They fight for the 145 conflict title that was vacated by Alexa Connors that she won earlier in the year. Annie DiCrescente comes in and just puts it down for 5 rounds. Awesome fight, man. Moving on to knockout of the year. Again, we come back to my man Michael Hazard taking this KO Warren Smith, man, on the pro side. It was a close race. I also felt like the Adrian Henderson KO Nick Smiley to win the conflict heavyweight title, which is a very coveted title, was huge this year. But the fans smoke. Mike Hazard, man, put it down. They were very impressed. Bart Weeks took the amateur side of that there. Donnie Singleton, we KO'd Donnie Singleton. Nice one, big KO. One of the most underrated the knockouts of the year, I think, was Mark Trader's. I think next year when the videos are up, we'll get to see some of that, because I know Mark Trader liked to kill his guy. But hats off to Bart Weeks, man. He got the KO of the year over Donnie Singleton. It's a great fight, great knockout. It's exciting through and through, man. And of course, Eddie Miller, Bart Weeks coming up at Conflict 24, man. It's just another reason to stay excited. And of course, Emmy Female KO of the year, couldn't go to anybody else but Alexa Connors with that KO of Allison Ainley, man. We've seen it on YouTube, we've seen it on Facebook, we've seen it on Access TV. It was everywhere this year, man. Swinging around the back, corking that right hand, taking it all, man. Great, a bit of a comeback also, I think, that made it all the more exciting. It was awesome all around. And that brings us down to submission of the year. Joseph Creer, the Dark Knight, rear naked choke win over Chase Gamble, Valiant 205 fighter. Great guy. A lot of good stuff coming from Joseph Creer. Thought it was an epic win. And then, of course, on the female side, Alexa Connors got a good submission win over Alyssa Vasquez in her last fight, which was big, especially for those that said her ground game wasn't this or wasn't that. But, this arm triangle choke over Mary-Kate Hayes that Annie DiCrescente got at Fight Club Series 2 was absolutely smashing, man. It was stunning. It came in the midst of a awesome fight anyway, and he was really digging in that. Well, I guess I can say that, digging in that ass. And it was an all-around epic finish, man. So it really stuck out. I agree. Congrats, Annie. That's 2 for Annie, 2 for Mike, man. Watch them, man. They're doing big things. And then, of course, we had some votes that were very close. So we had some honorable mentions this go-around. First being Jeremy Severn's Darce choke. I believe it was a Darce choke win over Guy Curry. An incredibly exciting fight and an amazing finish. And I mean, literally, I think when we stopped the voting and began to count Jeremy Severn on the pro fighter of the year, not on the submission side, but on the pro fighter of the year, he was within like 11 votes. So honorable definitely mentions to him. That close, man. Adrian Henderson, same thing. Very close to taking pro knockout of the year. I mentioned earlier over Nick Smiley. Some serious elbows. A fight a long time talked about. A lot of hype. It was just good stuff. Female fight of the year went to Annie DiCrescente, Jenna Fox. Close behind that was this Allison Ainley, Alexa Connors fight. Again, the KO. I think the comeback aspect was really big. It was a very close battle. And then Eddie Miller, man, went 3-0 in about 70 days with Conflict this year. Very close to taking home that amateur fighter of the year. And as I mentioned, he's going to be fighting another guy on this list, Bart Weeks, here at Conflict 24. So, epic year, man, for Conflict. We're doing so many more shows this year. Start kicking it off with this Conflict 24 in Charleston. If you haven't had a chance to see the fight card, man, go out and make sure you check this out. You can look at just about anywhere that I write. It's not hard to find. Hit up the Conflict page, maybe. Of course, you can check that out. Stellar card, really, really stacked with not just some of the best that Conflict has, but really a lot in the Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina atmosphere, man. This card is topped by Jason Hicks, Stephen Bass, man. You've got Justin Flood versus Jeremy Severn. Jeremy Stevens on this card. Stephen Eakin, Mike Hazard, Sean Kilgus. You've got a ton of Emmy title fights. Some really epic ones between guys. Well-known guys in this area like Lamar Brown versus Kobe Wall. You've got Charity Walker versus Ashley Samples, the newly crowned 115 champion. You've got the long-awaited battle between Russell Hewitt and Micah Barr on there for that Emmy heavyweight strap. Again, one of the most coveted titles around, man. You got Mark Trader, Paul Teague, Jake Romano, Jason Screen, Eddie Miller, Bart Weeks, Johnny Cooper, Robbie Cullum, CJ Davis versus Jacob Weeks, OC, man. There's just so many guys on this card. Definitely check that out, man. But anyways, congrats to all the Conflict Fans Choice winners, man. We hope you stick with War of the Words. Check us out everywhere we go. Conflict MMA. Congrats to everybody. All you DC fans, man, keep your head up. It was a good fight. Probably won't be the last time we see it go down like that. And that's all I got, man. The Sunday service brought to you, USA Eagle, Oh, and make sure, last thing, man, we got a new show going to be dropping relatively soon. It's called Beyond the Conflict. Myself and Sam the Panda Promeny going to be going in. We're going to be looking a little closer at Stephen Bass, Jason Hicks for this Conflict 24 main event. So stick around and keep your eye out for that. That's all I got for you. On behalf of myself, R. Eric Ellison, we'll see you around, man.